I just took a Red Bull with a scoop of pre-workout. I feel like my heart's gonna stop beating. First things first, if you like BONELAB the exact way it is, do not watch this video. You're not going to like it. You've been warned. If you don't like my opinion, you got warned, buddy. I tried to stop you. Alright, guess what? I usually have some structure to my videos. Like first we have the intro, then maybe we get a little rambunctious with some story, get a little fruity with some gameplay, and enjoy ourselves over a final conclusion. But this time, I wrote in the Google Doc, intro, literal garbage, and conclusion. You can't expect too much from me on this one, okay? I tried giving you Among Us VR with some structure, but butter my ass cheeks and call me a Hawaiian Rolls because that shit failed. Boneworks, Working Bones, BOZO Works, sometimes referred to as a penis, whatever the fuck you want to call it, is one of my favorite games for VR. It has that special sauce that just makes me cum everywhere. So when BONELAB got announced and I once again came, I was left pretty excited for this new title. Yeah, sure, I had some games I hadn't played, but this one was going to be worth it. Surely nothing bad's gonna happen to it, right? So if you haven't seen Ratlobber's video on the Source 2 engine not having any of the style that Source 1 did, you should go watch it because he's right. Source 2 doesn't have the same aesthetic that Source 1 did. That's why I believe Saints Row 1 and 2 to have such memorable gameplay, because the engine had this certain aesthetic, this certain level of jank that you could just pick up and play, and the jank was part of that experience. And slowly but surely we see these new engines with smooth animations, and can you put a bullet in my head? I'm trying to shoot someone in the head, not blow up a fucking balloon. But I believe Boneworks to have the same thing. The jank of Boneworks is what made Boneworks so memorable. I bet you can count how many times I'm going to say Boneworks in this video. The game feels rigid. Yeah, sure, we don't have any interaction engines or avatar switching mechanics, but that doesn't matter. The gameplay was simple. If you saw something that would be normally interactable in real life, you could probably mess around with it in some way. I can remember the countless times I would just climb on shit just to reach an area without the fucking Nimbus gun. Meanwhile, my hands are taking a day trip with Tom Cruise, and even though my arms are being twisted around like some spaghetti, I was having fun, and that's all that matters. And I'm not trying to hate on BONELAB. It's generally an okay game. It just doesn't have this level of jank that Boneworks has. Instead, we have these grab points, which, newsflash, sometimes barely work when trying to grab random shit, which, oh, viewer, you're not supposed to climb that anyway. What the fuck are you, the orangutan police? God damn. The Marrow interaction engine just oversimplifies what Boneworks had to an unreasonable extent. Another thing I just can't see myself ever using is this avatar system. Don't get me wrong, they're fun to use, but when it's a key integral part of your game, to stop what you're doing and switch avatars because you're basically just throwing a fucking brick in a washing machine. They really emphasize this aspect of the game later down the line of advertising, because the first couple trailers were just action shots. The story, while not bad, I've definitely got my fair share of Jimmy Wong finger jokes. It's still not gotten any better though. We have some cool action scenes making your way back to Fantasyland. Go watch the complete story on it if you really care. But then it just circles back around to the avatar switching system, and then more than half of the story are these boring ass avatar levels that might be fun mini games on the side, but do not cut it at all in the full campaign. And then that circles back around towards advertising. Again, do you see why this section of the video is called random garbage? I'm speedrunning my point. The first few trailers were primarily action shots. You want to know where these scenes actually take place? Most of this trailer is just the first level with some mini games. This trailer has a grand total of one new level thrown into the mix for like 5 seconds. It should have had more time in the oven. This doesn't feel like a proper successor to Boneworks. This feels like Stress Level 0 trying to capitalize on kids playing with Quest 2. The story was teased as this action-packed game, but we're just left with filler and the hopes people keep modding the game. Which, if that's the game you want to make, that's fine. You know, we have games like Contractors, Pavlov, but when you say that this is the successor to Boneworks, a game that does not need to be modded in order for it to be fun, then why didn't you just fucking say that? The avatars should have been an accessory, not the main focus. The interaction engine, yeah, it's cool, but it's polished to the point of just oversimplification. If you wanted Boneworks on Quest, you should have just done what Blade and Sorcery did and made a Quest-specific port. Because now we're to the point of what the fuck do these avatars have to do with the lore? Because Jimmy Wong said, hey little man, want to play, and now I'm a petite anime girl? If you wanted Gary's mod in VR, then you should have promoted the sandbox first things first. If you wanted to make this primarily about mods, you should have showcased that. Because for us who primarily look for story in games, this just wasn't it. My most viewed video is about the complete story of Boneworks. Granted, it's not very good, and it only has that many views because Thrillseeker talked about it. But we got these avatars, we got better guns, we got better physics, but name me one level from the story that isn't an avatar level and isn't home, ascent, or descent. They just spread themselves too thin. Again, if you wanted to make Gary's mod in VR, you should have just told us. Now, I know I've been talking shit about BONELAB for like the last 5 minutes, like a preteen couple trying to get off the phone, but there are some improvements about BONELAB that I would like to see return for the next Stress Level 0 game. The optimization is drastically better for BONELAB. Trying to record footage for Boneworks is like rigging your computer as an explosive while you fling your arms around like a monkey. Obviously, it's optimized so heavily because of the Quest 2 port being the primary audience, let's be real here, but it's still appreciated for PC users. The idea of grab points makes a lot of sense, there's no ignoring that, but I feel like they were used pretty sparingly throughout the game. I want someone to mod the game to where it's just a bunch of grab points being spammed like it's a CSGO player losing a Dust 2 match. I know this isn't going to necessarily hold true for just BONELAB, but bring back the developer who designed the levels for Boneworks. I think BONELAB did an alright job in some places, and terrible in others. The level design could very well be improved. Although I personally didn't use them much, a side activity using the avatar system pertaining to each avatar would be a better fit in the campaign. Putting them in the campaign just leaves me wanting more, knowing I'm just playing minigames. I only say these things because I want Boneworks and BONELAB to succeed, and I want to see them improved in what I believe they could be improved upon. VR games, not even just Boneworks or BONELAB, have been the most fun I've had in a while for gaming, and I would just really like to see it succeed to its full potential.